We are full of ideas. When it comes to implementation, we fail. This government, in terms of service delivery, is absolutely poor. How long does this government need to live? Can do can it can we can with can do with it in a responsible way. And then the final one, Richard Kyoko says not happy for now about the additional of 7 years instead of 5 years. And then Rugut says we need reduction of term limits to be 4 years. And then there's one comment I wanted to speak about. Yes, by New Horizon says, I don't think the police brutality is something to wait. Food prices has nothing to do with fertilizer, is not the only attribute to good harvest. Good rainfall was the key. There's so many comments that I'd like to read, but because of time, we will hold this conversation another time. But let me hear from Samuel. 1 minute. At 9:05, Nazima Mike.
Thank you, Priscilla. And I'll take just 1 minute to explain this. First of all, let me say that a lot of issues that have been raised by our fellow Kenyans are, some of them are false, some of them are true. And I want to measure on somebody talked about the horticulture bit that was shot down. I don't need time to discuss that. And secondly, somebody talked about 300,000 bags that were donated by Russia. We have 6 million farmers who have just registered to the portal, the agriculture portal that we need. And we know that we have at least two planting seasons in Kenya. So it means we need at least 12 million bags. And then when somebody says that 300,000 only, that is a paltry of maybe 3%, is what somebody is saying that were donated freely, yet we need 12 million bags at least in a year. That is a false information. And then about the SHA, Social Health Authority, we've seen several public hospitals releasing memos that they fully transitioned to SHA. And the problem we have is the private hospitals, which are struggling to transition to SHA. Yes.
Which hospitals are these? Could we have
Kenyatta University recently released a memo, or this RFH hospital here, just to mention a few, because you are eating into 1 minute that you just given me. If you need the whole list, I will gladly share later. And then again, we talk about the term limits. I want just to state categorically that the term limits is not the Kenyans should not worry about term limit, because the only person who has a final say are the same Kenyans. This issue has to go to a referendum. Even if it is passed in the National Assembly, even if it is passed where, it has to come to the common mwananchi to decide. So it is the common mwananchi who will decide, not the National Assembly, not the president. And I want to say that the ruling party has stated that they will never support any term limit, because the 2010 Constitution pronounced itself on the term limits, and that is 5 years, and we cannot go beyond that. And now, just to finalize, I would say that the new funding model, in the first year, that was last year, when we experienced the first batch that was admitted to universities with the new funding model, we never heard of any complaint. But this year, we heard of complaints because of the directive by the National Assembly to the Ministry of Education, to telling them that they should ensure that they give each student the right amount of fee that he or that they should pay while joining university. You remember last year, all of them joined without paying a cent. They were only given what they should pay towards the end of October. This year it was different. So the short time limit that the government had to process these kids was the problem. And I think it is being handled as at now, because there's a commission that has been formed involving several students. They will air in their grievances and give solutions instead of complaining. And again, I can refer you to the how we opposed the finance bill 2024. We opposed it vehemently because we were opposing the proposals, but we never read the final document after it was subjected to public participation and changes were made. We never read the final document, and we ended up opposing something that was very good for us. And despite all that, Some of the key aspects that were in that finance bill, the government is implementing right now, like the 46,000 teachers who are being employed on a pensionable basis. So at least if somebody says that this government is doing nothing, at least let us appreciate the few things that we are seeing. The food prices have really fallen. Somebody is talking that we should attribute the low prices to rainfall. How will you attribute it to rainfall, a natural thing, when you don't attribute it to low farm inputs prices that this government has brought in? That is why I say we are failing to be honest with ourselves at times. So at least this is the conversation going. And when I said that let us give the president time, I said we elected a president for a 5-year term. Let us judge him after that 5-year term is over. Let us not start judging him after 2 years. Even our national examinations, the second, the form fours do exams after 4 years. The primary school, they do theirs after 8 years. You cannot judge somebody at grade 3, yet this person is going to be determined at grade 8. So at least what I mean by not being given time is let us get done with our 5-year term, and then from there we will say you promised us this and never delivered. Thank you very much, Priscilla.
Thank you so much, Samuel. Let me read a few comments and then we finish. So Mutori Anyona says again, SHIF and SHA is not working. People are paying cash in hospitals. I was at Homa Bay County referral today. And then Bastamante says government should know that vitu kwa ground ni different. And then there's one more. Tasha says starved of resources and yet we are losing billions in corruption daily. Chacha Paul also says we are moving but in the wrong direction. So much issues to handle with agents like education, health, and security, but very unfortunate. Senate can use less than 12 hours to impeach Gashagwa when they had 24 days. State capture, really. Lily says, what is he saying? Kenyans are suffering more than before. Forcing too many taxes on a Kenyan that's already struggling is not the solution. There needs to be a complete overhaul on how decisions are made. Then Charles Njeka says, we aren't complaining. We are trying to do everything possible to be better, but the government is like taking away through taxes. So in the beginning of this conversation, I had asked everyone for this conversation to be an interactive conversation, and you guys have delivered. There are so many comments, I can't get to all of them. So many people on the comment section, but on the speakers panel, but we are already way past time. But thank you so much for everyone who has tuned in, to my guests. Thank you for your opinions. Thank you for your thoughts. Even Fanyamambo, who dropped from the space. But thank you so much for honoring my invite to be on today's space, and for also sharing your thoughts with us. I usually do this every Thursday from 7:30 p.m. We usually end at 8:30, but today we have gone way longer than we're supposed to. Please follow us on all our social media platforms at K24 TV and at K24 Plus. Hope to see you next week, same place, same time.